4. Hello, welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, and this is episode 53, recorded on August 28, 2013. You can see all my episodes, half-hour episodes of Walk in the Park at walkinpark.com, also ithacafingerlakes.com, but Walk in Park, not Walk in the Park. Someone else had that URL. Walkinpark.com to see my episodes. Okay, so this week we got a lot of interesting stuff to do. We're going to follow up on some of the things we did last week. For instance, last week we talked a lot about the effect of the August 9th flooding on our area, gorges and parks and so forth. Some places got hit worse than others. For instance, Buttermilk Falls came out pretty unscathed, not too much damage there. They kept the trail open. They had to reopen the swimming area, but they were able to do it. But Robert H. Treman State Park had heavy damage, as you may have heard or have seen on my show last time, and on their gorge trail particularly, and in their upper park, some of the footbridges and such took a really bad hit. And so the gorge trail was closed. The only trails that were open was the rim trail, the Red Pine Trail, which connects the upper park with the gorge trail down below Lucifer Falls, was also closed because that was an access to the gorge trail. But now that's open, and so is most of the gorge trail that follows down through the upper gorge. Well, no, not that section, not the section that's rocky there. The upper gorge, the last quarter mile, if you're going uphill near the upper park, that's still closed. But everything downhill from there is good. It's in good shape. They got some student volunteer groups in to work, and even some Department of Corrections work crews came in and helped clear some of the debris and do the necessary short-term repairs and so forth. But there's a lot of damage in the upper park. We'll talk about it in a minute again. This is you can walk you can still see Lucifer Falls, the big waterfall up there, from the rim trail. Rim trail was not closed at all. And you can get to this overlook, and there's actually about 3 overlooks on the rim trail near the upper park. This is one of them looking downstream. Everything downstream from the upper gorge there is open. So that's good, and we thank the hardworking staff at Robert H. Treman State Park and all the volunteers and laborers that worked on it to get it back open for the public. So, but like I said, not everything is open. And let's take a closer look at why that is. This is looking right next to Lucifer Falls. I showed this picture last time. This is the, you can see where the wall right next to Lucifer Falls there is actually a corner in the staircase is blown out by the flood, and that and other spots in the gorge have to be fixed. Now this is the upper end of the upper gorge. When you first come in there, you look down this narrow slot from the upper park, and you see this beautiful arch bridge there, and that's sort of an iconic signature view in the park, and often used as a photo indicating the park, and many people take pictures of it. Well, the floodwaters rose and blew out much of the walls on top of that bridge. In fact, they were so destabilized and mortar ripped out and so forth that they had to take them all off and start over. So that work has begun. So that's just one of a number of bridges in the park, footbridges particularly, that have had heavy damage and will need repairs before they can be reopened. So, but there's also some heavy things that happened in the lower park. Now, normally we would be winding up the season, the last week of the season, come up to Labor Day here, in the swimming area. And this is one of the most beautiful swimming areas in New York State. Sort of grandfathered in from the Great Depression. You probably wouldn't be able to open this kind of swimming area today with all the rules and regs and what have you. But this is open. This and Buttermilk Falls and Stony Brook Glen, Fillmore Glen all have these in-gorge waterfalls swimming areas. Well, this is what it looked like as the floodwaters were receding back on August 9th or 10th. And I think it's August 9th that they were receding. They come down from that night. You can see all the debris that's on the in this swimming area, in the diving area, all the rock and so forth that was washed up on there. And look at all that stuff that was washed in. They took the they have the dam there with some boards in it. They took it out, I presume, before the flood came, because they knew that was going to happen. They do jump on that. And even down by the bathhouse, there's all kinds of debris on the walk there. And let's see, these pictures come from a guy that has a website called Acorn Place, placeofacorns.blogspot.com. I'll show you that link in a minute. Look at all this debris in front of the bathhouse. You know, just a mess that had to be cleaned up. Nothing, not much structural damage, but still quite a lot of stuff here. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so there you go. There's that website, placeofacorns.blogspot.com. This fellow Steve there, he puts up a lot of pictures, and he has pictures on that site from other sites, Ithaca Falls and other places around Taughannock Falls and so forth. So, and he also has some videos up on his YouTube account, so you can look on his YouTube account, Place of Acorns. Now, of course, this is you know, this is a flood. It did some damage, but at Treman, but and elsewhere, but particularly at Treman, but it ain't anything like the 500-year flood we had in 1935. Now, there's the bathhouse after the July 7th, 1935 flood. It's a little closer in. Look how that whole patio was wrecked. In fact, the big stone wall against the creek there between the creek and the bathhouse, I think, was constructed since then to just to avoid this sort of damage again. So that was quite a mess. Took off part of the building. And even in the upper park here, this is the parking lot in the upper park by the old mill and picnic shelter and so forth. And quite a terrible erosion up there. There was a mill pond up to the left of the mill. It's not in this picture, but there was a mill pond and falls there, and that was blown out. The dam was blown out in this flood. So, but the trails are open now, so except for that last section of gorge, which you can, of course, see from the rim trail, as I mentioned, you can get out there and see them. But we're going to take another look, somewhat more lively look, back to a video. This one was, again, done primarily, and I did some re-editing at him, by this Place of Acorns, Acorn Place YouTube thing, and I was with permission of ours. So we're going to go right to that. Let me get that video up here. Okay, so we'll have that going in a second. Okay. Yeah, as I noted there, the music was by Duke Kustra, who's from here in Ithaca, and he's a friend of mine, and he's allowed me to use that music, so I'm sure he'll be thrilled to see this on the show. So that flooding, obviously, we went to Taughannock as well, the flash flood there, and we're going to take a look at Taughannock under some more normal circumstances, where the water isn't bursting. Although I've seen it a lot worse than that. Yeah, I went down there, I don't know, last week, I guess, and went to the swimming area, tried to get in a little swim before the end of the season, and it's pretty nice. And so now we're going to take a look at, well, let's see, let's go. We're going to look at a little video I did there, too, a short one. Okay, so just some images from Taughannock in normal circumstances lately, but of course we know you probably know we have the Taughannock Falls concert series, and that is over for the season. But last weekend they did out on the point again have an event. This is the third year that this event's been held, which is the the Ithaca Motion Picture Project show, Under the Stars, third annual movie Under the Stars, this time at Taughannock Falls, last year too, before that at Treman, out on the point. And this is the aerial picture by Bill Hecht, and you can see the upper part of the point there, that's the lawn, and the upper edge of that's where the of course the concerts and this show is held. And they set up a big screen, and I'll read their little description of it here. August 24th, 2013, Ithaca Motion Picture Project presented its third annual movie Under the Stars in Taughannock Falls State Park for a big screen showing of the Wharton Brothers' 1916 silent comedy, The Lottery Man, based on the hilarious hit Broadway play by Riba Johnson Young. The movie features Thurlow Burgin as a star college football quarterback who proposes a lottery with himself as the prize in marriage. The famous athlete finds himself in love with the one woman who wishes that he'd never started the lottery. The movie cast includes Oliver Hardy in an unusual film role. I actually couldn't figure out which person was Oliver Hardy, but somebody maybe will help me out with that at some point here. So we're going to take a look at a little video clip of that movie. Now, the Cloud Chamber Orchestra, I didn't mention that here. Cloud Chamber Orchestra played, and actually they were as good or better than the movie. So I'll show you. Okay, so that gives you a little flavor of what that was like. The voices you heard in the background there were the crowd. There were several hundred people watching, and it was, I guess we're not very practiced at following silent movie stories with all the nonverbals and all these people talking. You don't know what they're saying. You kind of have to infer it. Occasionally they give you a caption. But it was kind of funny. It was kind of a silly story. But very interesting, though, to see what our movie industry in Ithaca was like. Ithaca was one of the early capitals of the silent film industry, one of the early places, the Wharton Studios that were in what's now Stewart Park. Some of those old buildings there were part of their studio. So go to their website, ithacamotionpictureproject.org, ithacamotionpictureproject.org, and to find out more about what they're doing with that. And I think they want to have a little museum there and so forth as part of the whole Stewart Park plan. We'll be covering that some in my show, Stewart Park, Friends of Stewart Park. We'll be having some segments with them in the not too distant future. So now we have a few minutes left. We're going to pop over to Watkins Glen State Park. This is Cavern Cascade. This is a photograph by a photographer named Nigel Peterson Benson Kent. Go to nigelpkent.com, Nigel P. Kent, NIGELPKENT.com, and you can see all the amazing pictures, not just of Watkins Glen, but of places all across New York State. He's quite a good photographer. So what we're going to do is look at some videos. I have a new series called Park Minute, which I show on Pegasus, but I also show online. And I'm going to show you one of those. We'll look at another one of Nigel's photographs while we cue up that video. This particular photograph is of Rainbow Falls, looking through the falls in Watkins Glen State Park. The ravine called Watkins Glen is cut into the steep hillside on the west flank of the Seneca Lake Valley. It is a beautiful break in the skin of the earth where a stream has sliced through hundreds of feet of ancient rock layers. For thousands of years, Glen Creek has roared and whispered through its confines, slowly deepening the rugged throat of rock and shaping its ledges, pools, and waterfalls. With its cave-like gorges, fern-draped cliffs, and splashing waterfalls, Watkins Glen is a sensory delight. Okay, as that thing in the end there said, this is excerpted from my book, A Walk Through Watkins Glen, Waters, Sculpture and Stone, and actually use the narrative in the book in the video. So I'm going to continue to make those. The Park Minute series, I think I've got 6 of them out now, roughly weekly, and 3 or 4 of them are about Watkins Glen, I guess maybe 3. So we're going to go to another one. We'll stay on the Watkins Glen theme. Here's another photograph by Nigel Peterson Benson Kent. And this is in what they call, what I call the Glen Alpha section. That's what they used to call it. The first big section of gorge after you get into it, down in the flood zone by Glen Creek. But we're going to go to the next video. Water created Watkins Glen. Water as a stream that eroded the gorge. Water as Ice Age glaciers that bored the Seneca Lake Valley, and changed the course of Glen Creek, and water in an ancient sea where sand and mud settled on the bottom, eventually to harden and become the very rocks the gorge is cut into. The cool, wet climate of the region and the especially humid environment of the gorge support the varied plant and animal life you will encounter on a walk in Watkins Glen. The magic of water and its works are what have brought people to the Glen, whether to harness water power for mills in the 1800s or to walk behind a waterfall in the 21st century. Okay, we have time for one more, so I'll quickly go to that. This is another photo by Nigel Kent in the gorge of Diamond Falls, but that's not in the video. The main entrance to the park is in the last section of gorge for Glen Creek, as it emerges after its trip through waterfalls, pools, and twisting chutes in the gorge. Here the stream heads quietly out of the glen. This section of gorge was called the entrance amphitheater by the Victorian operators of the glen because high cliffs appear to enclose you on three sides. At the far end of the entrance amphitheater, the towering rock walls suddenly seem to merge, appearing to allow no further passage. However, a hidden portal reveals Glen Creek, where it emerges from its rugged route. Entrance Cascade, the first waterfall, plunges sideways beneath the stone masonry of Sentry Bridge. Okay, so that's it. That's about all we have time for today. I thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. We'll have another show next week. And meanwhile, have a good Labor Day weekend, if that's when you're watching this, or whatever else you're doing. And I'll see you soon.